Yeah, good afternoon, and welcome to this little webinar on making 2021 the year to bring industrial IoT to your business. My name is Matt Samuelsson. I am the CTO for Triodos, and I'm going to be leading this discussion. So just a very super short introduction on industrial IoT. But then the more important issues, why 2021, what has changed, and a lot of things have changed and continue to change for the better. We're going to talk a little about 7 areas of opportunities that you can look at in your company. And we're going to talk about, why it is easier, faster, and cheaper to do IoT today than it was a year ago or 5 years ago. And then at the end, we're just going to go through what we as a company do and take a little look at our reference solutions and products. So if we look at industrial IoT, you're basically looking at handling data, events, alarms, monitoring functions that are being sent from products. They can be trackers, they can be industrial systems, they can be consumer products and everything, sending them to an IoT data handling platform where the data is collected, processed, and stored, and is fed to applications. And these are either web-based applications, or they can be mobile applications for laptops or cell phones. And all IoT solutions more or less conform to the same type of architecture. What has changed in the last couple of years is what's happening on the device side that you see in the lower left-hand corner, and then what is happening in the IoT data handling area. 5 years ago, there were several hundred IoT data handling platforms offered by companies in the marketplace, and those are vastly reduced. Most of them didn't make it because what happened was that the cloud companies, Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, and Amazon Web Services, started to offer cloud-based IT platforms, and those platforms solve a lot of common problems with the enterprise-based or the proprietary platforms that were out there. So why 2021? Well, as we all know, 2020 was a kind of a lost year for many new initiatives. We certainly saw the market disappear in February, March. And the good news is that we now know that during 2021, COVID will be behind us. How fast that happens, we don't know, but my guess is by the end of the second quarter, we will be wondering what happened last year. The other thing is that there are underlying technology trends that continue to be favorable, and to a large degree, it is Moore's law at work, and that's of course named after the Gordon Moore, legendary. He's still alive, but legendary head of Intel, who basically said that every 18 to 24 months there is a doubling of processing power, and that also translates to there is a massive reduction of, for example, the power needed for a microcontroller or microprocessor. And that really, started in 2020 with the introduction of new communication technologies that made it possible for, chips in battery-powered devices to communicate via the mobile network at low cost, but more important, you can have battery lives of 3 years up to 10 years. So suddenly the world of non-powered IoT devices became a reality. Another thing that's happening in the marketplace, and we kind of been seeing since we started Triodos, I have seen other companies coming to markets doing something similar along the lines of what we're doing, i.e. they're beginning to offer complete solutions for typical use cases, for example, tracking or something like that. Some of these are basically ready to be used, and they come complete and not really customizable. But others, which is the approach we've taken, is to focus more on be able to deliver specific solutions for particular use cases and particular customers. So in all, because of these things, the complexity, time, and cost is trending lower. So if you were to do it yourself solution, 5 years ago, that was a multi-year activity, and you pretty much had to, find the different parts and integrate them together. While the platforms coming from Amazon Web Services, for example, come with partner programs, come with a lot of already built applications, and of course, it is an outstanding platform on which to base web and mobile applications with all the built-in web services, etc. So that really reduces the complexity. You don't have to do it all yourself anymore, or you can come to companies that have already done integration. Or if you have new devices, you can use embedded boards that have been integrated with, for example, the AWS platform. And as part of the AWS platform, if you do a device with integrated connectivity, i.e. you build your own board and put your own microcontroller on it, they even offer a real-time operating system that is fully compatible with their platform. And it solves a lot of issues having to do with security and other things. The other advantage with a cloud-based solution is that security tends to be built in to the cloud, and also with connectivity. So for example, we have a solution which uses mobile connectivity, and we have basically a direct secure VPN going from the AT&T cellular network directly to Amazon. So the traffic never gets out in the open. So there are, as I said, many reasons why 2021 is so important. So there are IoT is all about use cases, and it's all about opportunities. And one of the things I've been working in the IoT space for 7-8 years, and it is always about use cases and what technology can do for you. So I basically laid out these 7 kind of bullets here as to how you can think about using IoT and what the opportunities it can offer in your business. So the first one is basically to explore ways to grow your business. And with IoT, you are able to, if implemented correctly, you are able to do more with the same resources that you have today. For example, good tracking or good monitoring of sites and equipment and things like that can reduce downtime, and it can increase security. You don't have to send out people as often anymore. So there's obviously a lot of use there. Any distribution and services that you do as a company can benefit from IoT. The second thing is kind of expand it and make it more competitive. So if you're in the product or solution business, your competitors continue to introduce new capabilities all the time in a competitive market. And IoT may be something that they are introducing, or you may be the first one, and that allows you to create premium products in the beginning and definitely expand your business. So that's something to look at. Clearly enhancing existing products and services. If you already have microcontrollers in them, or computer boards, embedded boards in your product offering, adding IoT can often be relatively easy. You can maybe put a daughter board in and then just basically connect it, the product, and you can then provide additional monitoring services, for example, and provide additional application to your customers. Invest in completely new products. any product developed today, except a mundane thing like a shovel or something like that, there should probably be at least some thought in the when you start to debate product development. Should we include IoT in our product offering? And we're seeing more and more of this going on. I mean, connected products used to be rare 3-4 years ago. Today, on the industrial side, they're becoming very common, and of course also on the consumer side. Operations are always challenging, and knowing exactly how operations are used and utilized and how efficient they are is often can be assisted by knowing more about the operations. What is your uptime for your machinery? How many miles does your delivery fleet travel every day? There's a lot of things that you can basically look at. These are operational challenges. I need to reduce my product loss by 5%, and how can I use IoT to do that? Clearly, we have learned from the mobile application world, and that a product combined with a mobile app can offer very often offer a much better and enhanced user experience. And it can be something as simple that you provide a particular service, and one of the things you can do is just to tell the user of that service if there are any particular issues with it. Then you can communicate via email or an SMS or something like that. And then, the final one is a lot of things are happening in the industrial world these days. We will in the next couple of years start to see some major shifts as to what our economy, what we do at home, and what it is we import from the rest of the world. And we're talking about massive investment into such things as basic chemicals for the medical field, etc. And when you plan for new business investment and things like that, taking IoT into account is something that it really makes sense to do. So these are just kind of 7 general areas. When we talk to potential customers, they sometimes ask us, well, how can we use IoT in our business? And then typically what we do then is have a discussion with them and see, well, you can do this or you can do that, and many times eyes are opened for the opportunities, particularly when they find out that it's easier, faster, and cheaper. So how can we make it easier, faster, and cheaper? Well, the answer is a pretty simple one. It is use of a cloud-based reference architectures. And what a reference architecture is, it's a combination of IoT devices, the things in the Internet of Things on the left, how they are connected to the IoT data handling platform, and of course, in our case, we use AWS, and then how it's fed into basic applications for monitoring the IT data as it's coming in, and then for doing analytics of that data, seeing that. And then the other thing is, of course, to be able to provision new devices and users and groups. For example, in a service organization, you may want to assign particular product categories or geographic locations to a particular group, and so you need to kind of provision and administer the whole IT solution. And then the final thing is, which a lot of companies don't think about, and that is. And the reason I'm thinking about it is I come from a telecommunications background, and that is there is a need to operate and manage the IoT implementation itself. In telecommunications, there's this notion of network operations center. It used to be big rooms with big screens where people sit 24/7. But even in smaller cases, it makes sense, to have the NOC. So basically what we have done is we've kind of created a reference architecture, working with a kind of set of devices on the left. And then as over time, working with customer, we continue to expand that. And then we kind of feed it into, common data models that then are processing all the data, and it's fed into the whole applications environment in these 4 apps. Additional application is straightforward SMS and straightforward email, but of course also mobile applications. But many of these tend to be, customizable. In fact, our solution, the way we work with customers, it is customizable. So we kind of start with a functioning reference architecture or bring it up in a couple of weeks, and then we work from there. So when I say that it's faster, doing IoT in your business used to be something that would take at least a year. Now, if you do your product development incorporating new IoT, developing that product and the electronics in it still, will take time. But if you have, existing product and it basically takes us, between 2 and 3 months to provide deliver a solution to you. And the fact that it takes us 2 to 3 months means that what we typically tell customers is our slogan is months instead of years, and below 100,000 instead of in the millions. So that's basically the easier, faster, and cheaper. And all of that is based on the fact that you develop functioning reference architectures that are already up and running and deployable. So that's what we do. We selected AWS IoT Cloud. It is the market leading platform. Microsoft Azure comes in as number 2, but we've found AWS has a complete offering. And then we go ahead and develop the solutions for our reference architectures, and we support a range of IT connectivities, wired and wireless. We get our IT devices from partners, or if we end up working with, if you're developing your own product, you will be the one developing that product. But the good news, in parallel, we can go ahead and develop all the capabilities and all the applications. And the way we do that is that we have developed simulation tools. So we can basically simulate data coming from devices. We can, turn on a simulator and have, that data. We can put some random parameters into the data values, and we can also, put randomness into how often things are reporting. They can report, every hour, or they can report, randomly throughout a long time. So this kind of allows us to go ahead and build the applications before the product is finished, and you end up, getting a much tighter and certainly much faster, time to market. We, have a set of evolving applications, and they are, customized to meet your existing needs, and we can also integrate the solution with your business solution. So I mentioned our reference architecture before. Here are the devices. Here's the AWS data handling platform. These are our 4 applications, and then of course we support other things. And these applications are basically designed for different user types. So you're going to have a business analyst doing the analytics. You're going to have some operational person maybe monitoring the whole solution, etc. So they are designed with different users in mind. Our 6 reference solutions, they are discussed on our website, is these: asset tracking, embedded connected product monitoring. And when I say embedded connected, it means that we put an embedded board into a product, something that has already been integrated with the AWS platform. In fact, an integration done by AWS and approved by them. They have a partner program for products that do that. We have, industrial site equipment monitoring, industrial systems monitoring. An initial customer application we have developed basically involves monitoring pollution control systems in smokestacks around the country. And, we have been building out that solution over the last year. integrated connected product, and this is where you put your own chip in and maybe your own RTOS, and then simple straightforward machine equipment monitoring. And all of these come typically with different types of devices, but many applications can be similar in a way. We've also recently released 2 products, and these are kind of out of the box things that work. One is for tracking assets, and these use these battery powered devices with 3 to 10 years battery life, depending on which model you get. And you can just stick them on an unpowered asset, and it can, for example, report the minute something is moving, and or report when something is stopping. Same thing with open close, and again here we use the power of these battery powered devices, which means that you can actually place one of these in any network where you have the same coverage as your cell phone. 4G network uses the same technology. We have integrated with AT&T as a carrier, and based on that, we can provision SIMs and things like that from our applications. We have our 4 applications: dashboard for IT data, and the network operations center, administrative dashboard kind of provisioning and updates, and then dashboard for analytics. And basically, this is what these 4 apps look like. They run on standard web browsers, and typically what we do is, we start with a standard set, but for example, in analytics, you for your business will probably want some unique analytics, and then what we do is we develop, a pod that is optimized for your particular device. And those pods are basically provisioned when, on your instance of the site. So as far as hosting it, so we can do two ways. We can basically develop the solution and then hand it over to you. It runs on Amazon, and you end up basically owning it and paying Amazon for usage. Or we can we have a multi-tenant platform that we use, and we can use that to run, applications from multiple customers. That's all. So with that, I'm going to hand over to the listeners here and see if you have any particular questions.
Excuse me, Matt. Question came in here. For AWS, the cloud platform, what are the advantages? You mentioned a few. Can you give us a few more?
Well, it is AWS. So, obviously they have an excellent reputation of running, truly scalable solutions. Their software that they have developed for example, the RTOS or the gateway software is very well implemented with and integrated with their data handling platform. So they also offer, what I call complete edge processing, which is something that is becoming more and more important in IT. You want to process maybe a lot of data, but you don't really need to send most of it to a central point. So you can introduce, use that. They support things like Lambda functions, which is basically a function. It looks at the data coming in, and if the data looks in a particular way, it says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do something. And then, just overall ease of use, ease of integration with VPNs and everything. So it's worked for us. It's competitively priced. Yep.
Sounds very interesting. If I'm a new company looking to get into with Triodos, what are the steps for new customers? How does that work?
Well, the first thing you do is contact us, and what we will then do is we will, set up a call, a conference call, or a Skype or Teams call, where we can go over what you're looking for and kind of overall. And very often we, by knowing ahead of what business you're in, we're actually able to run a live demonstration with simulators And what we've done is we typically put your, we take your 4 applications, bring up a new instance, and we even put your company logo on it, but so that you can kind of see what it is, it looks like. But then we end up working with, and this we can do remotely, or we can come on site and work with your team, because typically in a company, if you going to introduce IoT and you haven't had it before, you're going to introduce functions, or the functions going to use it, or like service departments. You need involvement from IT if you have an IT department, sales, marketing, product development, and basically what we typically do is sit down and discuss through in a meeting, maybe an hour or so, and this is kind of a it's not an open discussion, but we participate with your team and develop there. Then from that we go and basically put together a proposal for you, complete with pricing and with delivery timelines, and that's basically all it takes. Something like this can be done in 1 or 2 weeks, and we can immediately get started.
Interesting. One more question here that just came in. How do I decide how to implement IoT in my company?
Well, something like IoT, you typically in your company will end up having stakeholders, and it's part of a business discussion. So you looked at these 7 reasons for doing IoT. Which reasons do you want to kind of realize within your company? And then the key is to get together the stakeholders. There's going to be some type of kind of senior management buy-in, at least, or depending on who you are, you can run Skunkworks, of course, and something like this makes it very easy to run Skunkworks. But anyway, you need a group of people that are basically going to run the project, and then decide, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Obviously, you need to budget for it, so that means finance involvement and budgeting cycles and things like that. But it's not really that difficult. Just a group of holders, and then you're going to basically, once you introduce IoT in your business, it's kind of like when you introduce computers, you will have them from now on. So IoT is something that is going to be a permanent presence in your business. And therefore, you need also to think about organizationally, who's going to manage this 5 years from now when we have 50,000 connected devices and things like that. So not mega science, but it's a matter of just making decision and say, yeah, we can do it.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Mats.
Okay, so with that, we are done with our 30 minutes here, and I'd like to thank you for paying attention, and look forward to hearing from you and sharing your plans. We are available. You don't have to be in a purchasing mode. You can just contact us and say, I'm thinking about this, and this, and then I will get on the phone, and or our sales guys will get on the phone, and we'll just talk it over with you. Those type of discussions can typically be 5 to 10 minute phone calls. So feel free to contact us. And thank you very much.